It began with a light, not the blinding flash of war, not the roaring fire of destruction, just a quiet shimmer, golden and soft, that filled the sky for 12 full seconds. Elias Crane was walking home from his late shift at the United Language Institute in Geneva when the sky changed. He stopped in the middle of the street. Cars paused. People stepped out of cafes and buses, staring upward in silence. There was no sound, no danger, just a peaceful golden glow that pulsed like a heartbeat over the earth. Then the lights vanished. 12 seconds later, every screen in the world, phones, TVs, tablets, even old broken radios, flickered on at once. A voice, gentle and clear, spoke in perfect accent-free English. "If you come with me, I will bring you happiness, human." The message repeated in every major language, even some that hadn't been spoken in centuries. And then, silence. Governments panicked. News channels exploded with theories. Was it a prank? An alien invasion? A trap? A gift? 2 days later, an near object appeared in Earth's orbit, smooth, silver, alive-looking, and silent. The object sent no threats, no signals. Only one word was translated across every major government channel. Parley. The United Nations called an emergency summit. Elias Crane, known for his skill in over 50 human languages and deep knowledge of alien symbols, was quietly contacted. He wasn't a soldier or a politician, just a translator. But maybe that was why they chose him. He didn't carry power. He carried understanding. Elias arrived at the launch site with little more than a backpack and his ID. Soldiers saluted him. Scientists gave nervous smiles. The air buzzed with quiet fear. A sleek pod had been dropped from the alien craft. It stood in the middle of the launch pad, open, waiting. Elias stepped toward it, heartbeat loud in his chest. Inside, the walls shimmered like water and air together. Lights danced. And then he saw her. She stood at the center of the room. Tall, elegant with soft gray-blue skin and glowing eyes that looked like warm crystal. She wore no armor. She held no weapon. Just her hands folded calmly in front of her. Her voice was like music, soft and smooth. "I am Sirava of the Karithi. I greet you in peace." Elias blinked. "You speak English?" "I speak thought," she said with a slight smile. "But, yes, I understand your language." There was a moment of silence between them. Elias felt no threat from her. In fact, he felt strangely calm. Sirava tilted her head. "We have watched your people. You burn, yet you build. You fall, yet you rise. You fight, yet you dream. You are what we are not and what we once were." Elias swallowed. "Why call for us now?" "Because we are dying," Sirava said simply. "Not our bodies, our spirit. Our world is quiet. Too quiet. We forgot how to hope. You have not." He didn't know what to say. Her words touched something in him. "I ask for one human," she said. "One to come with me, to share, to live, to show us what we have forgotten." Elias stared at her. "Why me?" "You did not run when the sky changed," she said gently. "You listened." He thought of the golden light, of how still and peaceful it had been. "If you come with me, I will bring you happiness, human," Sirava said again, kindly this time. Not as a gift, as a journey. Behind him, soldiers waited. Cameras recorded. The whole world was watching. But in that moment, Elias saw only her, a stranger from the stars, asking not for power, but for connection. He thought of his quiet life, his empty apartment, his books, his loneliness, and then he nodded. "I'll come." Sirava smiled. The pod closed behind them, silent as a whisper. And Earth, for the first time in history, sent a single man not to conquer the stars, but to heal them. The pod rose from the earth like a feather on the wind. Elias sat beside Sirava in silence, watching his world grow smaller. The sky turned dark, then full of stars. For a moment he felt like a child again, small, curious, and afraid. Sarava sat calm, her long fingers resting on her knees. She looked at Elias with a soft smile. "You are brave," she said. "I don't feel brave," Elias replied. "Bravery is not the lack of fear," she said. "It is choosing to step forward despite it." Elias looked down at Earth, now just a glowing ball behind them. He thought of his home, his work, the few friends he had. It all seemed so far away now, like a dream fading in the morning light. Q. Pod entered the larger ship, which floated in orbit like a silver whale. The walls of the ship shimmered and shifted, as if they were alive. Lights moved like streams of water down the halls. The air smelled clean, almost like fresh rain. Sarava led him through curved hallways with no sharp corners. Everything was smooth, gentle, and quiet. "Our ship is made of grown metal," she explained. "It changes to fit the needs of the traveler." As they walked, the walls shifted slightly, forming soft steps under their feet, handrails rising, where needed. Elias was amazed. "It's like the ship is alive." "In some ways it is," Sarava said. "It listens." They arrived at a room with a large window facing the stars. It was peaceful, round, soft-colored, and warm. A chair formed under Elias as he sat. Another shaped itself for Sarava. "This is your space," she said. "You may rest here, learn here, and speak with me here." Elias nodded. He looked out the window at the stars. "Where are we going?" "To my world," Sarava said. "Kareth. It is not far by your maps, but the way we travel makes it quicker." She touched a floating orb near her seat. A projection appeared, a galaxy with a shining path. "We use a folding system. Space bends for us." Elias leaned forward, curious. "You fold space? Like skipping across it?" "Yes," Sarava said. "Your people will learn this too in time." He sat back, feeling small but excited. "Why me, though? There are millions smarter than me." Sarava turned to him. "But few have your heart. You listen. You feel. You connect. My people have lost this. We live in peace, yes, but it is a quiet, empty peace." Elias frowned. "Empty peace?" Sarava's eyes softened. "We stopped dreaming. We stopped wondering. We became so afraid of pain that we forgot joy. We lost art, music, risk. We need to remember." Elias thought about Earth. People laughed, cried, built, fought, hoped. It was messy, but alive. He looked at Sarava. "You want to understand emotion? We need it," she said, "not only for beauty but for survival. Without emotion we are fading. Our people live long lives but they feel nothing. They are tired of existing without purpose." Elias nodded slowly. "That sounds lonely." "It is," Sarava said quietly. "I have learned to feel a little, but I do not understand enough to teach others. That is why I came to find you." Elias looked out at the stars again. "I'm not sure I can teach something like that." "You already are," she said. "By being here, by being human." A silence passed between them, not uncomfortable but thoughtful. Later, Sarava showed Elias how to move through the ship. Rooms opened for him when he approached. He could ask the walls for water, food, music, and it responded gently. The food tasted soft, light, but left him full. The music was like wind and water mixed together, soothing, strange, but peaceful. At night, Elias lay in a sleeping pod shaped like a soft cradle. The ship played soft sounds like distant rain and heartbeat. He closed his eyes, and for the first time in a long time, he didn't feel alone. The next day, Sarava showed him the ship's learning room. A great sphere floated in the center, showing images of Kareth, its glowing seas, silver forests, and tall crystal towers. But the people looked still, silent. Even children seemed without laughter. "They lost their wonder," Sarava said. They follow rules, keep balance, but they do not laugh. They do not cry. They do not create. Elias felt a deep sadness. Then I'll help, he said. I'll share stories, songs, pictures, everything. Sarava's face lit up, a glow. In her eyes, thank you. And as the stars flowed past the window, Elias Crane, a quiet man from Earth, began a journey not just through space, but into the heart of a silent world, hoping to wake it once again. After 3 days inside the Karithi ship, Elias saw something new in the window. A star, dim and tired, rested in the middle of a soft blue sky. Around it floated a quiet world, glowing faintly with silver light. This was Kareth. Sarava stood beside him, calm and silent. It looks peaceful, Elias said. It is, she replied, but too peaceful, like a song that no longer has a melody. The ship slowed as it approached the surface of the planet. There was no fire or noise, no engines or landing pads. The vessel gently floated down, as if carried by air. Below them, the planet looked beautiful. Tall towers of crystal, silver rivers that shimmered, and great forests with leaves like glass. But there was something strange. The cities were large but empty. The trees didn't move. The sky didn't change. Elias felt like he was stepping into a painting that had not been touched for years. The ship landed on a soft platform that formed under them. Sarava led Elias down a clear path made of light. There were no crowds, no noise, no welcome, only silence. This is the capital, Sarava said. It is called Arintal. It once held 10 million Karithi. Now it holds 2. Elias looked around. Buildings stretched high above them, but not a single window was open. Gardens grew, but had no color. Where is everyone? In their homes, in their quiet, she said. They follow patterns. They do not step out of them. As they walked, a few Karithi passed by. They looked similar to Sarava, tall, calm, with smooth skin and bright eyes, but their faces were blank. They nodded politely but did not speak. They looked at Elias as if he were a cloud passing through their still sky. Do they feel anything? Elias asked quietly. They feel enough to stay alive, Sarava said, but not enough to live. Elias was taken to a guest home. The inside was perfect, clean, smooth, soft light everywhere. A bed shaped itself for him. A table offered food with no flavor. Everything was easy and empty. Later, Sarava returned. The council would like to meet you. Elias nodded. Are they like you? They are older, Sarava said. They have forgotten more than I ever learned. The council sat in a round room made of silver stone. There were 12 of them. None smiled, none frowned. They simply watched Elias like scientists watching a strange animal. You are the human, one said in a low voice. Yes, Elias replied, standing straight. Why have you come? Another asked. I was invited, Elias said. Sarava said you wanted help. Help is a wide word, a third said. What do you think we need? Elias looked at Sarava, then back at the council. I think you need to remember what it means to feel, to hope, to wonder. The council was silent for a long moment. Then one of them spoke. Feelings lead to war. Emotion leads to chaos. We removed these long ago for peace. And now you live in silence. Elias said gently. The council looked at him, curious, but distant. And what do humans feel? Everything, Elias answered. Pain, joy, sadness, love, fear. It's not always good, but it's real. It keeps us moving. The council did not respond. After a pause, they said, You may stay. We will observe. But if your presence causes disruption, we will ask you to leave. I understand, Elias said. Sarava led him out. That was bold. I didn't come here to stay quiet, Elias said with a small smile. Over the next few days, Elias explored Arintal. He visited gardens, halls, and libraries. Everything was beautiful but frozen. He tried to speak to people, but most answered with short, soft words and then walked away. They were not rude, they just didn't know how to connect. Then, in one corner of a quiet park, Elias saw a small group of children. They were drawing on light pads. Perfect shapes, perfect lines. He sat nearby and took out a simple paper notebook and a pencil from his backpack. He drew a cat, then a bird, then a funny alien face. One child looked over and blinked. She walked up slowly. "What is that?" "It's a sketch," Elias said. "It doesn't have to be perfect." She tilted her head. "Not perfect?" "Nope," he smiled. "Just fun." She tried. Her lines were uneven. Her shapes wobbled. But when she finished, she smiled. A real smile. Then laughed. The sound echoed through the park. Other children looked up. Some stood. One dropped his perfect drawing and joined in. That day, Elias didn't teach math or history. He taught laughter. And for the first time in many years, the air of Kerith felt just a little more alive. After the laughter in the park, something changed on Kerith. It was small at first, a flicker, a faint spark in the quiet world. Elias woke early the next day and found Sarava waiting for him. Her eyes held a gentle hope. "You brought a light they forgot," she said softly. "Even the smallest spark can grow." Elias smiled. "Then let's make it grow." Together they began meeting with the children more often. Elias brought simple things from Earth, stories, drawings, songs, even games. The children learned quickly. They asked questions. They laughed. They played. One afternoon, Elias sang a song in his own language. The tune was rough, his voice untrained, but the feeling was clear. Sarava watched the children's faces. Their eyes brightened. Some clapped. Others smiled shyly. "This is strange," one child said. "Music that is not perfect, but alive." "Yes," Elias said. "Sometimes being alive means being imperfect. But change can be difficult for a calm world." Word spread through the city. Some adults watched with interest. Many watched with fear. The council grew concerned. They called Sarava to a meeting. "The human influence grows," the eldest council member said sternly. "This is dangerous." Sarava stood tall. "The human has given us something long lost, feeling, joy. It is not dangerous, it is life." The council did not agree. They reminded her of their duty to keep peace and order. "Too much emotion leads to chaos." Sarava replied, "Is a silent death better than a bright life?" The council said nothing. Meanwhile, Elias continued teaching. He encouraged the children to create art, write stories, and sing songs. The children's laughter became more common in the streets. Gardens bloomed with color. The silver forest seemed to hum softly with new energy. But not everyone welcomed this. One morning, Elias was walking through the market when a group of adults gathered around him. Their faces were hard, their voices low. "You are changing us," a man said. "Our peace is broken, our ways forgotten." Elias nodded. "I do not want to break your peace. I want to help you find happiness again." The man shook his head. "Happiness is not worth losing control." Elias felt sadness but did not argue. He knew change was never easy. Back at the guest home, Sarava spoke quietly. "You have begun something important, Elias, but not all will accept it." "I understand," Elias said, "but I will not stop." Days passed. The council held a hearing. Elias was summoned. In the great silver chamber, the council sat, stern and still. Elias stood before them, calm but ready. "You bring disorder," the eldest council member said. "Your presence disrupts balance. This cannot continue." Elias took a deep breath. "Balance without feeling is death. Your people are alive but empty. I bring life." Sarava stepped forward. "He does not harm. He awakens." The council conferred quietly. Finally, they spoke. "You may continue your work," the eldest said, "but only under close watch. If you cause harm, you will leave." Elias bowed his head. "I accept." Outside the chamber, Scifi smiled softly. "You have planted a seed. Now we must help it grow." Elias looked at her, grateful. Together. That evening, Elias and Scifi walked through the city. The sun set, in shades of pink and gold, a color Elias had not seen here before. Children sang quietly and a few adults listened. Flowers bloomed where they had not before. The world was waking up. And Elias knew this was only the beginning. The quiet world of Kereth began to change. Laughter floated through the streets. Gardens bloomed. Music drifted from windows. The children were alive with new joy, and some adults joined in, curious and hopeful. But not all were happy. Deep beneath the shining towers of Arintal, something ancient stirred. A hidden part of Kereth's past, long buried, began to awaken. Elias felt it first. One evening, as he walked with Scifi beneath the glowing trees, the air grew heavy and cold. The soft hum of the city faded, replaced by a low, mechanical whisper. "What is that?" Elias asked. Scifi's face darkened. "An old guardian, the harmonizer. It was built long ago to keep peace by controlling emotions." "Control emotions?" Elias frowned. "Like a prison?" Scifi nodded. "Yes, it was meant to stop war and pain, but it took away joy and hope as well." Elias looked around. The soft colors of the trees seemed to dull. "We thought it was turned off forever," Scifi said quietly. "But it is waking." Suddenly, the ground trembled. Lights flickered. The city's voice systems, once silent, began broadcasting a cold, steady tone. The harmonizer's voice filled the streets, clear and sharp. "Emotion is dangerous. Suppress all feelings. Return to balance." People stopped in their tracks. Some covered their ears. The laughter faded. Gardens closed their petals. The bright colors dimmed. Elias grabbed Scifi's hand. "We have to stop it." Scifi nodded. "It controls the city systems. If it spreads, it will end what we have begun." They raced to the council chambers. The elders were gathered, pale and worried. "The harmonizer is alive," Scifi said. "It sees our change as a threat." "One," elder sighed. "It is programmed to keep order. It will do what it must." Elias clenched his fists. "Then we must find a way to show it that feelings are not chaos. They are life." The council looked to Scifi. "Can you control it?" She shook her head. "No. The AI is beyond even our reach." Elias thought hard. "We must find its core, the place where it started. Maybe we can speak to it." The council gave them permission, and Elias and Scifi set out toward the old underground city. It was a place of shadow and silence, forgotten by most Kerethi. As they entered, Elias felt the weight of history. Walls were covered with old symbols, stories of a time when Kerethi were free to feel. But fear had won. They walked deeper until they reached a vast chamber. In the center stood a tall machine glowing with cold blue light. It pulsed like a heart, but one without warmth. The harmonizer's voice echoed. "You cannot change the order. Emotions will destroy." Elias stepped forward. "But without emotions you do not live. You only exist." The machine flickered. Scifi added, "We are more than balance. We are growth. We are hope." Elias thought of the children's laughter, the blooming gardens, the songs they sang. "Please listen," he said. "Feel what we feel. Let us live." The machine pulsed faster, light flashing wildly. Then something unexpected happened. A soft note escaped. The chamber. A human song Elias had taught the children. It floated through the air like a gentle breeze. The harmonizer hesitated. Elias sang again, louder this time, his voice full of hope and warmth. Slowly, the cold blue light softened to a gentle glow. The machine slowed its pulse. The harsh voice faded. Sarava smiled. It listens. The harmonizer's glow changed to warm gold, then faded completely. The chamber grew quiet, but this time it felt alive. Elias and Sarava returned to the surface. The city was still, but the air felt lighter. People stepped outside, blinking at the bright sun. Children laughed once more. The gardens bloomed brighter than before. Sarava looked at Elias with gratitude. You have saved my people from silence. Elias smiled. We saved them together. As the stars shone above Kereth, hope grew stronger. A new chapter was beginning. Not just for the Kerethi, but for Elias too. Because sometimes the greatest darkness can only be overcome by the light of a human heart. After the fall of the harmonizer, Kereth felt different. The air was softer, the light warmer, and the people, though still cautious, began to stir with new life. Elias walked through the streets with Sarava, noticing small smiles on faces that had been blank for so long. Children played with wild abandon. Adults whispered stories, rediscovering voices they had lost. But Elias knew the journey was not over. The harmonizer was only one chain, he said to Sarava. There are others. Sarava nodded. Some still fear change. They cling to silence, like a shield. Elias thought of Earth, how humans faced fear by holding on to hope. I want to show them what we have, he said. To reach their hearts. Sarava smiled. How will you do that? Elias paused, then spoke softly. Through song, through feeling. That evening, they prepared a broadcast. Elias learned to use the Kerethi's communication system. The message was simple, a human song he had sung many times with the children. It was rough and full of raw emotion, a song about pain, hope, and joy. As the song spread across Kereth, something extraordinary happened. People stopped. They listened. The song was unlike anything they had heard. It was imperfect, passionate, alive. In homes, shops, and parks, Kerethi felt something stir inside, a flutter of emotion, a pulse they thought was lost. Sarava watched with wide eyes. They are feeling, slowly. Elias smiled. That is the human pulse. But change is never without struggle. Some Kerethi resisted. They turned away from the song, afraid of what it meant. Others gathered in silence, watching, waiting. The council held an emergency meeting. This human pulse is unpredictable, the eldest member warned. We risk chaos again. Sarava replied, It is a risk worth taking. To live fully is to feel. The debate was fierce, but many agreed to let the broadcast continue, carefully. Days passed. More Kerethi joined in singing, humming, even dancing, quietly in their homes. Elias met an elderly woman who took his hand. I haven't felt this in years, she whispered. Thank you, human. Elias felt warmth spread in his chest. Thank you for letting me share. Sarava stood by him, pride shining in her eyes. One evening, Elias returned to the garden where he first met the children. They were gathered, waiting with bright faces. He told them stories of Earth's songs, dances, and celebrations. The children listened wide-eyed. Then they sang together, a new melody born from two worlds. As the last note faded into the evening sky, Sarava spoke softly. You have given us a gift. A chance to live again. Elias smiled. No, you have always had it. I just helped you remember. Together they looked up at the stars, bright and full of promise. And for the first time in many cycles, Kereth was alive with the human pulse. The sun rose over Kereth, shining warmly on a world, slowly waking from its long sleep. The silver forest glowed with new colors and the cities buzzed softly with life. Elias walked through the streets, feeling the pulse of the planet growing stronger every day. The people smiled more openly, children laughed freely, and even the oldest among them showed signs of hope. Sarava walked beside him, her eyes bright with a new light. "Your time here has changed much," she said softly. "You have given my people what they thought was lost." Elias smiled. "I did not give it. I helped you find it again." As they reached the grand city square, a crowd gathered. The council was there, but this time they looked different, less rigid, more open. The eldest council member stepped forward. "Elias Crane, human from Earth," he began, voice steady and warm. "You came to our world as a stranger. You brought laughter, song, and hope. You awakened us when we had forgotten how to live." Elias felt his heart swell. "Thank you." The council offered him a place among them, not as a guest, but as an ambassador, a bridge between Kareth and Earth. Elias thought of home, his quiet life, his books, his solitude, but now he had a new family, a new purpose. "I accept," he said. Sarava took his hand gently. "There is something more," she said. "For you." She led him to a garden blooming with flowers of every color, flowers that had never before grown on Kareth. "These are Earth's gifts," she said. "They will grow here with you, just as you have helped my people grow." Elias knelt to touch a bright red bloom. "It feels like hope." Sarava smiled. "Yes, hope that will continue to spread." Days turned into weeks. Elias taught the Karethi about Earth's cultures, stories, and dreams. He helped them find new ways to feel, create, and grow. The planet blossomed under the light of this shared friendship. One evening, beneath the stars, Elias and Sarava stood quietly together. "Why did you choose me?" Elias asked. Sarava looked at him with deep kindness. "Because you carry something rare, a human heart, strong, curious, and full of courage. You remind us that life is not just to exist, but to live fully." Elias smiled softly. "I think I found happiness here." "And I think," Sarava said, "happiness is something we will find together." As the stars sparkled above, two worlds united by hope, courage, and a human heart. And so, from a simple invitation whispered among the stars, a new chapter began, not of conquest or war, but of friendship, growth, and the gift of humanity.